All right, welcome back to another episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast where business gets done. We've got a very special guest today, all the way from Metallica. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I did see James Hatfield. I was like, dude, that's awesome. There's no way. And there was no way. But that's okay. We've got our home service version. James, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Sorry to disappoint, right out the gate, but that's all right. I've been
Well, you
disappointed
threw
from
me,
the
dude,
beginning.
because I came in, sat down, and I saw the guitar in the background. You got a really cool setup. We want to, and I was just telling Roger before the show started. It used to be. This is more made intimately for like when we do a in person because we've got the whole setup here in the middle, which you can't really see. The camera's fixated on a different angle of me, but I've liked the backgrounds of my guests here recently so much that it's got me inspired. I want to make some changes, man. And yours is very cool. It's probably just your office, if I had to guess.
Yep, this is my office.
Yeah, but it still looks. It looks. I don't know, man. That look for me, I really dig it. So, first of all, do you play guitar?
Oh yeah, this is one of many guitars. I love playing guitar
Are
all
you
the
any
time.
good?
I mean, you don't want to be too promotional. I play live out all the time.
Do you
So
really?
yeah, I
All
lead a
right.
bunch of different stuff. Yeah, and my kids are now. I'm in the mountains of North Carolina. We do a lot of bluegrass. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
we love doing that. I mean, my last name is Hatfield, so I'm a Hatfield and McCoy, and that's American history.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
So
my
it's not
great uncle.
Hetfield like James Hetfield. It's Hatfield like Hatfield and McCoy. You're a
Yep.
real deal
I'm
Hatfield,
the
which is
yep.
way cooler.
Great uncle is Devil Anse, and so Kevin Costner played my great uncle on the History Channel. Pretty
That
cool
is
stuff.
about as badass as it gets, dude. So wow, we can just talk about that the rest of the episode. My wife, her father was from West Virginia, and he was a lot older when he had her. Right, he had a second family, if you will. But anyhow, guy was a huge bluegrass fan, and I always thought that was such a trip because I'm like, just not something you hear every day. You know what I mean? Especially not in Maryland. But he loved it, man, and so she'll get a kick out of this. So awesome entry so far, but we're not on here to talk about the Hatfields and McCoys, as cool as that would be. This podcast is more centered around our home service, blue collar, business growth, et cetera, all of which, James, you could talk about at length. You're constantly speaking, touring, podcasting. So before we get too into the weeds, man, tell us, outside of your name, how'd you get here? What led you to living the life that you're currently living, constantly traveling, podcasting, and speaking? Take us back and how you got here.
Yeah, they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? So my grandfather, unfortunately, his dad died young, so he had to drop out of high school at 16 and get a job to put food on the table. Imagine that as a 16-year-old. You're like, hey, your pops just died, and now you got to go get to work. So he started working at a tire shop and humble beginnings. So when I came along as grandson, he was like, hey, my dream for you is to be a painter. I want you to go and be a painter. And my father wanted me to be a plumber. So right out of high school, hey, I went and I started business, and I went door to door. I learned how to paint a house head to toe, and I started getting to work. So I started my first home service business there, and that grew up. And then it also started power washing companies from there. And so a lot of it was just I needed to put food on the table myself. I didn't come from anything, so no handouts. So we get to work, and then I put other people to work. And I did that going door to door was my initial marketing campaign, because when you don't have no money, and back then, you had the phone book. That's what we had. We didn't have the internet.
Wow, man, you don't seem that old, brother. But okay, right on.
You can get in there with the gray hair. I got 4 kids and been married over 20 years, so I age in reverse. It's been good to me.
Well, hey, man, but a lot of people wish they could say that. So I've got some grays too, but I've had those since I was like 25. So I don't know. They're coming in a lot more recently, but that's probably
Run a couple home service businesses. You'll get.
I was gonna say,
sure.
that's probably, and I don't even know if you know, but I actually still do have mine. So that's probably where a lot of mine are coming from.
Oh,
so.
definitely. When you live your life on a ladder, you're gonna get gray hair. That's what it is.
It is what it is. Or even when you get off the ladder and you have other people on the ladder, you almost get more because I'm more comfortable
because then when
with
your
me.
guys fall off the ladder like mine have, or do stupid stuff, which we all have done, then more gray hairs start popping out, and you become a
Yes.
nonprofit for a little bit.
Well, we don't. I'm not claiming that, but I know you've done some of that. But
yeah.
but so take us through that. I mean, I know you've done nonprofit work. I've known you had your own home services. So outside of just, hey, you did door to door to get going, which is awesome. And by the way, I stand by this. I say it all the time. Door to door sales is bar nothing the best entryway into the whole sales world. It's the best training for sales, period, in my opinion, because There's a reason why we start our sales folks. We're launching a retail vertical in our business currently. We used to do insurance restoration almost exclusively, but my whole background has always been in retail, right? Like traditional retail exterior sales. And in our market, that's usually window siding, roofing, doors. Most people do the same thing, but my consulting company teaches those sales methodologies and those systems. Well, dude, I'm a huge believer in door to door. I think that it's the best lead source, period. You can exclusively pick out what you want. You can see what you need. There's a need for this product because I'm standing here and I see it. I'm making my homeowner aware of it. That's the first touch. If I have someone good that can touch that the first time, well, they've set that foundation of like, hey, this company's decent, right? And then you back that up by sending out a rep that brings that home. It's just the best. So you got a great education right off the rip. Just going door to door and learning how to deal with mass rejection, right?
Totally.
Uh,
Absolutely. You also
so
know target marketing because now you're choosing the neighborhoods you want to work in. Then you start landing deals, and then it's called referrals. And then it's called recurring revenue because you go back to people. And in the painting and power washing, you get to do a lot of it. So now I'm into recurring revenue. And this is all predates any technology where I made a big jump, but sales is in my blood. Like
this
if
is
my guys
just
didn't
16 to 18. You're just learning all of this.
Oh, 100%. That's where I come from. And then from 18 to in my 20s, I'm running companies and where I felt like I was weak, like I knew I was strong in selling, I knew I was strong in delivering good product, but I was weak in my numbers. Like I'd go to the bookkeeper and they'd be speaking English to me and I'm nodding my head, but I don't understand a dang thing they're saying. So I'm like,
Right.
all right, this cannot happen. For me running my companies, I'm making payrolls, and I want to watch my top and bottom line. I better learn the lingo. So I decided to go back to school at that time. State school was actually affordable back in the day. So I started to do that while I was running my companies. And I went through business and accounting classes so I could learn that part of my business. And so when I graduated from there, that's when things really changed for me because I ended up meeting one of my current partners, my business partner. He was running landscaping companies
Hmm.
and he was finishing his degree too with some finance. And he built this expert system where you could take your income statement and balance sheet and feed it into it, and it would tell you in plain language to a blue collar guy like me, this is how you're doing, and this is how you compare. And he's like, why don't we start
Wow.
selling this? So I was like, all right, I'll make a shift. I can sell anything. So I started cold calling on the phone to New York City, 300 cold calls a day. I was a man possessed because like, all right, let's give it a go. I'm going to make a jump. Well, we took that company from an incubator to Inc. 500, which means you're one of the fastest growing companies in the country. And now it's a multi-billion-dollar company that we sold. So that was a good switch. That did all right. And then the saga continues. But, it was just born out of I didn't know my numbers. And so then we were figured there's probably other guys running businesses like me that don't know their numbers either. So let's see if we can't help them out. And that worked out.
Wow. So that's still being utilized today?
Oh, yeah. It's a multi-billion-dollar company right now. Guys I
Wow.
hired 20 years ago still working there for a living. Uh-huh.
I mean, is that did you exited that? You're not any anymore? Okay.
I exited that. I started some nonprofits, and then we are like, well, let's build another billion-dollar company. And instead of starting it from scratch, we bought a company out of Vancouver, Canada, brought it here into the States. We're located in our headquarters in Raleigh, and it's a 16-year-old company, but we just launched one of my products 2 years ago, and it's all over home services now. And it's that's a pretty cool story too. How what we're doing now.
That's I mean, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
an understatement, but that's pretty cool. So and I say that because most people know that follow me. Our goal is strictly to attract a private equity, a merger and acquisition event, whether that's through private equity, venture capital, joint venture, strategic partner, doesn't matter. We know that roofing companies are being gobbled up. Home services, period, right? The blue collar, HVAC, but that's very cool. One of the first companies I started with, Power, just reached a billion dollar valuation, I think last year. And that's just so encouraging for a guy like me because we're working hard towards maybe not so much that. I don't want to undersell what we could do, but like it's just amazing when guys like us are able to make something like that happen. You know what I mean? But talk about like you've done it from a different instead of like just trying to build up that machine that is the remodeling company itself, you found a need within that everyone can relate to, and then took that, solved that problem, and put it on steroids. And man, that's awesome, man. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not all sexy, right? Because it all comes down to what I did going door to door. You can take that door to door talent that you're just starting out, right? As Ken's saying, you're laying the foundation of success. Like when I go into, Fortune 500s now, or even the smallest companies, I have the same recommendation from the largest to the smallest. Knock on a door. Now, it might look different. It might look like a phone call. It might look like a LinkedIn request. It
Hmm.
might look like an email. It might look like still knocking on a door or going to a conference and networking, right? But it's all about getting yourself out there. You got to get off the couch. No one's going to call you. You're not that cool. I'm not that cool. No one's gonna call. I call them. I'm Santa Claus. I'm coming through your chimney. I'm coming to get you. And then from there, we can grow from there. And hyper growth is what I'm all about.
That's I love that. Instead of just waiting to make the foundational pieces so great that they just your phone starts ringing. And that's how I've been my whole career, by the way, is like, and I know there's a lot of schools of thought in terms of branding, getting the phones ringing and internal lead sources and all that. And I totally understand that, but I've never been patient enough. I've always done the exact same thing. Like, let's get boots on the ground. Let's get out there. Let's knock some doors. Let's make some calls. Let's send some mailers. Let's follow those mailers up with direct marketing, with door to door, and doing it that way. And that might be old school. It sounds like you took old school foundational teachings, and you brought in the 21st century and the AI and the tech, and you just went in and they've got this amalgamation of the two schools of thought. And I think that's super
Yeah,
cool, man.
there's two
So
sides of it, right? You create a great product. Listen, I learned how to paint houses. I learned how to power wash houses the right way. All right, I make a good product. That's step one. Then step two is marketing yourself, right? And then step three is compounding that with recurring revenue and your influence, right? Because when you jump from a company that you're established, you've got a multi-billion-dollar company and everyone knows your name, it's not as hard. I mean, it's still hard because you're trying to scale at a higher level. But the point is when I made a jump to where I am now, and I'm a flea on a dog, and no one knows my name, I got to get back to what I know for many decades, which is knocking on doors again, making friends, kissing the babies, doing the relationship thing. And then guess what? It's not a surprise that I'm now becoming on stage again. Again, I'm not paying to be on stage. I'm making a good product first, getting with knowledgeable men and women in the industry, putting myself out there, and I can teach this over and over and over. You pick the industry. I had 500,000 followers for fantasy football, and I did, radio shows with Tiki Barber. Why? Same methodology. And I'm about to do the same thing right now with Live Switch, and I haven't even talked about what we currently do, but I want to get your wheels turning that I'm not special. There's no free lunch. There are some key building blocks that you can lay down no matter what you do. If you're selling macaroni and cheese or you're, remodeling homes, like you can put in some common sense activities that you can start doing today that's going to make you money and also increase your influence.
and if you were to bundle those all up into here's my base package of those common sense things that I do no matter what I'm doing, what would your synopsis of that be? Obviously, one would be get out there and shake the hands, kiss the babies, right? Would knock your door, whatever that is,
Yeah,
whatever your door is, whether it's
fill in the
an
blank.
email or an Indeed or a friend request or whatever that door equivalent is, knock your door. You have any other
Yeah.
bits?
Yeah, I'll tell you where the answer to the test lies. Your customer. Okay, they have the answer. You think you know what the customer knows best, and everyone says, "Oh, the customer knows." There's always this argument: the customer knows best. No, they don't. I know better. I think we've got it a little mixed up, and I'll tell you a story. So we bought this company 4 years ago, and I'm in this technology where my engineers are speaking English again, and I don't understand what they're saying. Story sounds familiar, right? So I just sit with them. I sit with these engineers, guys. I always make fun of them. I was like, "You guys have soft hands. You've never been on a ladder all day, but whatever. Give me your lunch money later, right?" But they start teaching me. In this case, it's called WebRTC, and no one knows what that is. WebRTC, well, I give you money if you knew exactly what that is. So I'm learning, and I get an opportunity. So our company, just so you guys know, you've seen our stuff and used it. We did the Super Bowl this year. If you watched WWE wrestling, where they put all of the screens in the Thunderdome, we did that. If you watched the NBA All-Star game when they were in the bubble and they had all that, we still do stuff. We did. If you go to MLB Ballpark today,
Live switch.
yeah, that's us.
Okay.
We power all this stuff. And so I got a knock on the door from the chief of police in Washington, D.C.
Mm.
for the not to reinvent the 911 phone call. All right. So the whole thing was everyone's got cameras on their phones now. How can we tap into that to where a citizen can now hold up the camera and stream that live video to the police car? It's called next gen policing and situational awareness. So I was racking my brain, but I woke up at 3 in the morning. I was like, I got it. No apps. We're going to send a text and get a permission, and I can tap right into it because that's what our technology does. We're a live video company. And so as I was building that, I started, well, who else could use this technology? So I meet this guy. He's 20 years in the FBI. He takes care of the Tennessee Titans NFL football team. And he's looking at it and he's like, James, this all looks well and good, man. He's like, I got the stupidest question. He's like, can I just text my guy across my arena here because it's huge when the trash cans fall over so I don't have to hop in my little golf cart? Because that would really help me. And that was like the aha for me because I remember having the Nextel walkie talkie. You're at the Waffle House, you got your Nextel
Everybody
walkie
had
talkie.
that, man. You weren't
Everybody.
cool if you didn't have the neck scale. Beep beep.
Exactly. You were not. So I'm like, this is the
You
Nextel
don't.
walkie talkie, but with my eyes. And so I start talking to home service guys and I meet this really, really smart guy in the moving industry, like moving boxes of all industries,
Mhm.
right? He's like, James, you're sitting on liquid gold. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, we're going to use this for virtual estimates. He's like, the most expensive thing I do is put an hourly wage guy in one of my trucks and drive him out there in the hopes of getting the business. And I don't always win it. He's like, now I can get to that lead quickly. I can document issues. He was so right. And now we got thousands users all over the world, hundreds of business. We're under the hood of Service Titan, Jobber, SimPro, and we're bringing this live video thing that I built for the 911 chief of police, and we're putting it in the hands of our home services folks, and it's taken off like wildfire. Okay,
Wow.
crazy story. I know. And from your first question, I gave you a long story, but I'm saying that one of the building blocks is, are you listening to your customer? Do you really listen no matter what industry you're in? Because they got the answer. But you got to spend time and you got to put your 2 ears on and you got to take notes. Because
I
then that's
love
when the
that.
magic starts happening. And what'll happen is you'll start meeting thoughtful people like Ken, who I'm on today, who actually been around a bit. And I just learned from them. Right? And so we're learning from each other and
Yeah.
now we're connecting each other. And now I'm a thought leader in an industry that I used to be a flea on a dog because I'm
Mhm.
hanging out with the smartest people. That probably sounds familiar since you were in grade school. You got a good product because you keep working on it and you're listening to the customer and you're knocking on whatever the knock on door is. Those are your building blocks of success. And if you're missing one of those pieces, maybe that's why your business isn't doing as well as you want right now.
Mhm. I love that. And one of the things you said, I just can't. That's something so simple, man. Like who are you surrounding yourself with? You know what I mean? Like when you were talking, I was thinking. You said you went back to school, and not to jump around, but when I first started this is my third in the last 8 years. I've had three of these remodeling businesses, all the same business model. Now, technically speaking, the second one I was hired as a consultant and just helped get it going. Right, that's the niche. That's literally what I'm still doing now. Now, I stopped doing it for a year to really burrow into Potomac Custom Remodeling, my remodeling company, my roofing company. We were scaling into our new state, so it was like, hey, I need to focus on this. But like yourself, I like to kind of like build this thing, get this thing solidified, then like I have a genuine passion for working with other business owners. That's why I like doing this. Learning from networking. I mean, I think that is bar nothing one of the biggest things that's helped me just move forward in my career. I have mentors here that are technically competitors. They don't look at it like that. They're happy to. Hey man, can you teach me? They could have said, hell, no way, you're gonna come up, and they don't care because the good businesses, they don't worry about you. There's other businesses that are going to pop up. You can't stop that. I'd rather be allies and educate and work with as opposed to, we got the only one that can do this. And it's just such silly thinking. And I was blessed to have great mentors that took me in and they didn't care. I'm doing nothing compared to what they're looking at. Right. And they couldn't help me more. And so surrounding yourself with the right people. And when you went to school, I actually was going to go back to school this time around when I partnership failed. The partnership failed. The business did well, but the partnership failed. I learned a lot of lessons there. I went in with a friend, and you already can figure out where that went, right? So a lot of lessons learned there. And I was going to go back to school because I wanted to learn the same things: accounting, marketing, right? I minored in advertising when I went to school before, but instead I took the money and I went and got a consultant, and it was basically school. The way they did it was they had all these businesses come in, and we just learned how to run a small business. And that was such a great use of my money, time, and energy. And I forget that I even did that. Until you said that, I was like, damn, that's right. You know what? That was one of the first things I did, and it helped me so much. And so that next level education, I don't know. I could talk to you all day, man.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
I love it.
education comes out in all these flavors, right? If and you're listening to a podcast right now, you're already two steps down the chessboard, right? Because you're deciding to put something in between your ears rather than Netflix and chill,
Yeah.
right? There's books you can be reading. Audio books count as well, right? There's conference speakers. There's folks that you need to be imitating and learning from. Take the meat and leave the bones. You still got to be you at the end of the day, but you don't have to go and make all the mistakes. This is how you go down the chessboard faster. You're learning from the mistakes that Ken just
Mhm.
said. He just said a mistake right there. He was humble. He was open. He said, "Here's what happened, but here's what I learned from it." Right? You're going to make mistakes too, but just keep standing up. You can't humiliate a humble person. Just keep standing up. You know,
Um,
and if you keep doing that and you keep learning, and surrounding yourself, you're going to find yourself in great scenarios that you never thought of, and business opportunities that you would have never thought of either, because you're putting yourself out there. And I can teach you this in about 5 minutes. And I can give you some homework right now. I'm going to give everybody some homework, and I'm going to go
please.
someplace where most home service companies don't go. But I'm going to show you. Check this out. In addition to knocking on doors and going to conferences, which you should be doing, I want you to go to this little website called LinkedIn. And many of us listening probably aren't on there or don't give it much value. Go give it any time of day, right? So here's what I want you to do. This is how I came famous in every industry I go into. This is how you do it. You don't have to. You can just throw this in the dumpster, but go to LinkedIn and make yourself a little profile. Make sure you have a good looking photo. If you got one of those shabby looking photos, I'm telling you, you don't look like money. So no one's going to give you money. If you can't take a second to take a nice photo, are you going to take a second to do a good job on my house? Just saying. If
Mhm.
you're talking about remodeling, you can't even get your photo right. No, no thanks. Right? Next, put a little banner up. Put a little about you. Start putting up your experience. Okay? Get ready to network. You got to put on the suit before you go to the conference, right? Brush your teeth, brush your hair, look good. Right? That's what we're going to do. Now what you're going to do is find your industry, and you're going to do 20 connects a day. That's all you can do. If you do more than that, you're going to get blacklisted. And you can do this while you're sitting on the toilet. All right. So I'm not telling you to do something that's going to take a long time. And maybe that's too much information. But you go in your industry, you just hit the little connect button 20 times with people in your industry. Do not send a note. Don't go that extra. Just send the connect button. And what's going to happen? Your first 20, you're going to have two brave souls that say yes to you. Like if you ask enough girls at the dance to dance with you, one's going to be crazy enough to do that, right? That's the beginning, though. Now, once you get on the dance floor, all the girls are going to want to dance with you. So here's what's going to happen. You wind the clock, you do this 20 a day and also on the weekends. Now, when I reach out to people, they'll see this guy has 150 mutual connections. If someone reaches out to you, Ken, you see 150 mutual connections. What are you going to think? You're going to think,
Yeah.
why don't I know this guy? You're
Right.
going to feel a little stupid. Like, I should know this. I don't know this guy. You're going to hit connect. Now my connect ratio goes up. While I'm doing this once a week, not every day, you're not an influencer, once a week, do a before and after pic. Show a pic of your happy crew. Talk about what you learned from a podcast. Share this podcast. Share that you listen to Ken. Like, this is what I got out of the episode. Share, give back. It's crazy, I know. Give a little back. Then people are going to start connecting with you, and they're going to start looking at you like, this guy is a thought leader. This person is on the money. This person is doing work. And watch what happens. I have made thousands and thousands of dollars doing this. I've been on stages because of this. And it's not just about getting, maybe you don't want to be on stage. You're afraid of the microphone. That's not what I'm talking about. You'll get a new business connection, a new partnership, a new thing you would, because of this. All something I can teach you in just a few minutes. I'm just getting warmed up. And anyway, that's a freebie. I didn't even know I'd be talking about this, Ken, but you get me
No,
on my
no. Hey, look,
soapbox.
look, look, look. If you guys aren't taking notes, I don't know. I am. You know what I mean? So, and I look. I just spoke. You know, I've got my own event, Blue Collar Ballers. That doesn't matter. That for me, James, is something that I'm very passionate about, and I want to do that in the future. And I know we can go into way left field here. Something I very much enjoy. You know, I've envisioned myself the manifestation techniques and all those things. That's where I put myself when I'm like, all right, where am I 5 years from now. I've sold the business. My people are running it. They're happy. They've got this, thing that they've been a part of from day one that I was able to, help change their lives. And now I'm going into and working with other businesses and speaking exclusively on stage. I'm also in recovery. That's a big part for me in making sure that when I get to that top of the mountain, that I'm able to give back and help and really be honest about where I came from and all the things that I went through and how far I've come. And I do that to say that when someone like James, I don't give a damn who it is, frankly, but when I can tell, like, hey, this guy knows something, right? And he starts talking and says, hey, here's some stuff that helped me get to where I'm at. Like, if you don't do what I did, which is grab my phone, pull up notes, and put that in there, and then take action, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to tell you. Those two things are just him giving you the secret sauce and then the guy absorbing it and doing it and taking action. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just such an easy way to just kind of keep getting forward, man. Because if you don't take his advice and if you don't take action, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, you can be street smarts or you can be book smarts or you can be both. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about right now. It's taking the notes and taking your book smarts and applying it to the street and
Yeah.
watch how much faster you move. Right? That's just with anything. The more you learn about your craft, the more you learn about your industry, the more you learn about your customer, and you start applying that to yourself and to your team, and wherever you go, giving back, that's how you scale. You want to make yourself. Everyone's trying to race to the top.
Mhm.
That's a busy section. Where I try to race the bottom.
Mm.
Bottom. What do you mean? I'm trying to make myself redundant. I give away my title. I hire people, promote them, and move them up. Actually, I hire, fire, and promote. If you're missing any one of those three things in your business, you're messing up. All right. And no one wants to talk about the firing side. Maybe you do, but
Right.
hire, fire, promote, right? So then you want to make yourself redundant. That's just how we became one of the fastest growing companies in the whole country is hiring at a quick speed, making ourselves redundant, empowering our team, making them owners of the business and really lifting them up on how to do that. And now what we're trying to do is really reinvent the customer experience, whether you're in remodeling, HVAC, plumbing, electrician. This is where I'm going next, and I want to get out my crystal ball for you too and tell you where I think we're going because I am a tech nerd as well.
Please do. I was
We
just
haven't
getting
even.
ready to ask, what does the future have for live? I don't know if this is applicable. Is this for live switch or?
Yeah, so it will involve a little bit about the current company I'm at, but I also more than anything I want to get everybody's
Yeah, let's go.
mind thinking. We all have this thing. I bet it's all in your pockets right now. It's called a smartphone, right? Ken's got his right there. It's got how many cameras on it? 3,
Right.
4, 5. This is a tool you're not using that you need to be using in your business. And it goes every which way from beginning lead from the first time the leads coming in all the way to end execution as well as customer testimonials and repeat business. And we're going to start leveraging this for your team and for your customers because people aren't doing this enough and it's going to start clicking for you in a minute. So let's talk about how business is done today. Somebody wants a remodeling. Can you tell me I don't own a remodeling company? I'm just going to take a guess though. A new lead comes in, whether it's a referral from a happy customer or it's a Google search, right? That they went on your website, they call
Yeah.
you up, or they go in and they request a quote. That's how your leads come in, right?
Right. If it's not one where you've gone to them from the doors, but yeah, one or the other.
That's what happens, right? Or if you're not knocking, well, you should be knocking on doors, but we're just talking about the inbound.
Yeah, yeah.
How do we respond? We email and call back. We start doing a little discovery. Tell me about your project. How much money have you? And then we all do this over this thing called the phone, right? Because that's how we've done it for how many years? Now, I go on stages and now AI is all the rage, right? I'll say, who in here, your AI robot is your number one salesperson? Raise your hand. How many hands go up, Ken?
Not very many.
A zero. Zero.
Yeah.
Never. The AI bot answers simple little questions like what did Ken have for breakfast and, how many tattoos does he have, right? But not like, hey, I can be out there, next week and here's the quote and here's the cash. So we go and we call and we do the pre-call and we say, all right, when can I come out? Because we want to close that deal at the dining room table, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So we want
Hence the name.
to, exactly, full circle. And that's how it's done today. So I'm going to take you into the future and take you into what people are already doing now. And you can compare your business to the businesses now that you're going to be competing with because this is here now. The future is now. So now what's happening is that lead is coming in and from a phone call, the person's like, hey, can I send you a text? and you tap it and you can show me your project. Because once you get your eyes on the project, that's a big bonus for you as a bidding person. But the bigger bonus is race to the face. People, how many times are you closing your business over the phone blind, where you did the entire bid, the entire process, and all you did was use a voice? Doesn't happen unless
No.
you're really, really lucky. And then if you're blind bidding, let's just say the accuracy of your bid sucks.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed that's a nonprofit work. So them one seeing you establishing credibility as a person, and then you seeing the project. And sometimes what you see, you don't want.
Right.
Like, they ain't got no money. This is a tire kicker, right? This is a do-it-yourself or just trying to get a little free consulting, which you've been driving in your truck to give, by the way, out of the kindness of your heart. No, no, no. So now it's protecting you as well. Okay, so now are you going to be able to fully close it? Not all the time. Sometimes you can, and in some industries, absolutely. People are winning. It's called virtual estimates. Look it up.
Yeah.
All right, and this is from the backbone's technology, but it's a 1-2 punch, right? So now you've seen it. You've determined they're worth driving out for. Now you're driving out on site, and you're going to pull out your phone again. You're going to do video documentation of the work, because there's this little thing called cover your butt. Because
Yes.
customers start seeing their property in a new way when you're on property. Well, my gutters didn't look like that before. You're like, let me
Boy,
check.
then look this guy, man. You know this guy knows what he's talking about because unless you've done it, you don't know what the hell he's talking about. But all of a sudden, that shutter wasn't hanging off like that. Yes, it was, and here's photo proof that it was. If you don't do that,
Could you imagine if they took the NFL replay, instant replay away? The fans would be up in arms.
yeah,
Well, now here comes the NFL instant replay for your home service business. Let me check the replay, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Yep, your gutter was already hanging off before I even got on property because that's your phone when I was sitting back in my office. All right, so that'll save you a couple bucks preventing a claim.
oh, you have them do that.
Yeah, I'm recording it from their phone. You're sitting in your office eating your sandwich, them walking around outside, and we're recording the whole thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
if your salesperson starts selling world peace, you've never had a salesperson who sells world peace before, right, Ken? Where your ops guys are like, wait a second, what did you just make us do for how much? Or you get on property and the person's like, oh, well, the bidder said you'd be taking care of the shed as well and remodeling the shed. You're like, what? No. Now you're going to check the instant replay. Like, happy to do your shed, but it's going to cost you some money because this stuff ain't free, right? So now we're putting everybody on an instant replay, and you're putting your team on an instant replay because now your ops people can watch the bid at 2x speed so they know what we bid. They know the customer expectation, and they're ready, and they can put on the truck what they need on the truck as well. And we're just getting warmed up. So now you've done the operations side. Now your guys are doing the work. I want to see before and afters. Because once I start putting drywall up, I can't remember where I put the pipes. I can't remember where. Once I start burying after digging something up, I want to have a before and after. Because I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Remember we talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Right? So I got to record all that. I want to share the before and afters on the LinkedIn, on my homepage. When I've got a new prospect, check out what we did for the Jones family. Then when I'm done with the work, I want to do a customer testimonial video. That's very powerful. And then when I'm finally done, I want to put QR codes up on site. QR codes are the rage, right? And
Like if you're
services.
doing a siding, you want to make sure you have a QR code on a sign somewhere or something like that, or
Yeah.
a roof or whatever. Okay.
Like I got my roof done 2 years ago. If you asked me the name of the roofer that did my roofing, my company, I couldn't tell you. I done forgot. I can't remember.
Right.
So now what we're doing is our home service folks are putting a QR code on whatever they're responsible for. If you're a plumber, put it on the water heater. If you're an electrician, put it on the breaker box. If you're an HVAC guy, put it on the unit. Because here is what's coming. We're trying to box Google out. I don't want you going to Google. I don't want you looking at my competitors. If I'm your plumber, I'm your plumber for life. And not just for life, for the life of that house. So when I put a QR code on that water heater, here's what typical homeowners do. And if you're a homeowner or even a tenant, I know you do it. The water goes out. You no longer have hot water. What do? You march down to the hot water heater like you know how to fix it. But it's just like when you're on a highway and there's a crash on the other side of the road, we got to stop and look because you're really going to help. We just like to look at the problem. We're all people. It's just what we do. So now when they march down to their little water heater, they're going to see a QR code with the name of your company your phone number, and now they can scan the QR code and take a video of the problem while you're sleeping in your bed. You're going to get notified there's a problem at the Jones house at this water heater. You're going to watch the video and then call up Mr. Jones. Miss Jones, yep, I watched the video. I see the problem. I can be out right now. Here's how much it's going to be. You are creating a speed bump to Google, right? Because in that scenario, what they would have done with no QR code, they would have gone to the water heater. They would have said plumbers near me because they can't remember the name of their plumber. And then they would have called the person with the most stars. Now they're going, oh, that's my plumber. Oh, yeah. Let me show the video. Like, I'm just trying to keep them out of Google one last bit. So now it's a race to claim properties. Because even if that family or tenant moves out, the new family or tenant moves in, they go to the water. Oh, I guess this is the plumber for this house. Oh, yeah, I guess it is. You see, there's a whole part of this that you're going to start marking your territory like a dog. Mark it.
Dude.
I got your wheels spinning, don't I?
Love it, man. Yeah, some of those things we do, some of those things we don't. We've done some QAs, but I really like the idea of like having a QR code maybe on a roof or somewhere more accessible where like because if we're doing roofing and the idea is like, well, roofing's probably unlikely to be something, but we have a roofing and I'm not even going to give away all of it because but you got my wheels spinning. Yes,
Yeah,
I
well,
will
for
say that.
anybody in this industry, what they'll do is they'll take a QR code and put it on the back of a garage or a downspout. So if there's
There you
if they
go.
see an issue like, oh, one of the things wasn't taken care of, at least you're going to give, let me see it again
Right.
before you drive out. Oh yeah, we'll take care of that. Or no, that was already like that. Or it has your brand and your logo. So when the neighbor comes and they're like, your roof looks freaking great. Oh yeah, let me look at oh yeah, it's Johnny's Roofers. Again, remind them, we have a great roof. We got a problem. Or when they're ready to do that. And it can be for anything, right? So we got to be thinking about claiming your territory because recurring revenue is the best kind of revenue on the planet.
Yes. And I couldn't agree more, man. It's why we really, wanted to bring in the retail vertical, not just because insurance restoration is changing, but we want multi touches on our clients. They always say, "Hey, what else do you do? What else do you do? What else do you do?" Right? And it's hard to say, well, we kind of just do this one thing that you won't need another one for 20 years from now. So I love it, man. This has been one of my favorite podcasts in a long time. So honestly, James, I'm going to need to connect with you, man. If you don't mind, I'd
Please.
love to pick your brain. And, I try to surround myself with talented folks, man. Tommy Mello came on here and rocked it out. And he's hyper successful, sold his business, and he's on stages. And I encourage you guys, if you're listening to this, man, seek that knowledge out like it's freaking oxygen, man. If you find somebody that like, man, this guy really knows what he's talking about, I could be better surrounding myself with a person like this, and you make an effort to do that, you can't go wrong in doing that, man. James, how do our listeners find you, all that you're involved in, so we can make sure that they have access to you, like I'm trying to do?
Yeah. So what I challenged you with LinkedIn, right? Look at James Hatfield, like connect with me, ask me questions. Like I will, because this is where I came from. I've lived my life on a ladder. Anyone who reaches out to me directly, I can talk about your business, your hiring, your firing. I mean, we didn't even get to talk about, hiring and people all over. I mean, I start blowing your brains around the next level of like how we hire folks.
I
That's for
mean, we
another episode.
can, man. We can have a second
Yeah,
podcast here
I'm
real
down.
soon if you're up
Yeah.
for it. I'm just
Oh
saying.
yeah. Oh yeah. I host virtual conferences all the time. I find the leading thought leaders in any industry I bring, and we educate. We even have a nonprofit called Inmates to Entrepreneurs. We put thousands and thousands of currently incarcerated and previously incarcerated men and women through our program because we do believe in second chances.
I would love to be I would happy to help you with
Yeah,
any of
we would
that
love it, and actually even
because
turn into an
you're talking to one, right?
yeah.
So,
We hire them. We love them. We believe in second chances.
yes, I couldn't agree more, man. I'm the
We
same way, brother. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I'm speaking to the choir, preaching to the choir, as they say,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it even turned into an ABC television show called Free Enterprise. My business partner is the star of that
I
show
love that,
because
man.
it's
Yeah, I would love
so
to help you, man.
powerful. And
It
if you do
is.
want,
It is.
it's so powerful. I mean, that's another soapbox. I'll try
Yeah,
not to get on.
exactly. I don't get me exactly,
Uh,
and it's the irony of just like some of the best people I've met, and it's like, but don't we? You know what? I really would love to have another follow up. We'll have to connect after this, man. If there's
well,
any way that I can help you with that, because that's something that I'm very passionate about as well. I do the same thing within my company, and I've been there, man. So I know exactly. If no one ever gave me that opportunity, if the state of Maryland wasn't kind enough to make sure. Now I earned it. I went through a lot of hoops being a felon, but had I not, and that was a small, year blip in my life that I just car accident, pain pills, turned me to a just complete monster. I wasn't raised that way. I didn't seek those things out, but it's what happened. And what I became was just I did what I did and I deserved the results. But now that I've been through that, I'm so much better suited to help people that have gone down that same road, and I wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be as empathetic. I wouldn't be in this position, man, and talking to guys like you, like, yes, dude, absolutely. They do. And it's important. And some of the best people come from there. Best
Oh yeah,
people, hardest
totally.
workers, hungry.
Some of
So
our best staff members came right out of there, and
yeah,
I'm grateful. And I mean, I've needed second chances. Trust me, we all need that. And then it'll turn around and make a great story. And like we
sir.
said, you can't humiliate a humble person, and we'll rise up. And if you do want to get to me, obviously LinkedIn or Live Switch, LIVESWITCH.com. If you want to see the tech, just ask for me. I mean, you can get some of my wonderful sales team, but since you're listening to Ken's podcast, I want to personally take care of you, right? So you can talk to it at home rather than I love my sales team, but you can come talk right to me and we can talk through all these kind of things. But I would love to connect with anybody and happy to talk through the future, the current state of business, as well as where we're headed.
Man, what an absolute awesome podcast, man. James, I wish you nothing but amazing success. Thank you for providing lots of value today, man. That's what we try to do here. Now, I always do one last little nugget, if you will. If you were to be, now you've got the Hatfield McCoy thing going, so that's pretty cool. But if you didn't have that, some sort of generational one liner for like, man, I remember that guy. He said this, and it was imparting words of wisdom on our audience. What would that that line be to really impact the future of the
Yeah.
entrepreneurial space? One last nugget, if you
Yeah.
will.
Give more than you take.
There you go. Give more than you take. I love it,
Give more
brother.
than you take. In every way, if you give more than you take, you will get way back 10 times whatever you give. But don't wait to give. Oh, when I get this or when I get that together, if I get this, no, no, no. You need to give even out of the poverty. That lady gave 2 copper coins. You can find a way to give. And if you ain't got money, give some time.
There you go. And don't wait. I like that too, man, because I've been guilty of that. By the way, like, oh, when I get here, well, like, what can you do now, right? You can hire people for your company. You can give second chances. You don't have to be the famous guy or whatever at the top of the stage. You can help people right now, and I couldn't agree more, man. I'm
Yeah,
guilty of it.
if my little daughters can do it, you can do it.
Damn right.
I put them out there. I mean, they know how to bake cookies, and they'll stand in front of the hardware store and they'll donate all that money that they raise to women's shelters. And I'm telling you, every time they do it, and they do it often, somebody will be like, "How long are you going to be here? Just stop." And they'll leave and come back with a fistful of money and big crocodile tears, and they'll say, "Hey, I used to be in that facility, and they helped me, and it changed my life. Take all this money and give it to them." And that was my little girls. So if they can do it, us grown folks, you can do it. So give more than you take. Don't be a taker. I tell my kids, I'm not raising no takers.
I might got my first one on the way, man. It's a girl too, so I'm really excited about that. So God bless, man. This has been awesome. This has been absolute. This has been one of my favorite and I no disrespect to any of my lovely guests, but this has been awesome, man. James, I've really thoroughly enjoyed this, and I've got a lot out of it, man. I hope you listeners, got as much as I did out of today. Find him on LinkedIn because I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be look. I've been sandbagging on LinkedIn. We've been talking about this. Roger also works for another company. We've been slacking, so we're going to make a commitment to pick up and really rock out on Indeed. And James, I can't wait to see you on there, man. And we're going to have you back on if you're willing to do
Happy.
it. We got to
You
have
did
you back on.
as many times as you want me. Use me and abuse me in
Beautiful.
all the right ways.
We're going to make sure that we get him on there for a part two, man. And I can't wait to do it. James, thank you so much, and we will see you soon.